Good evening and welcome to the Star Chamber Show live podcast, episode number 455. And it is a great evening here in Lexington, Kentucky, where I, Stephen Zimmer, am broadcasting from. And joining me tonight has my co host, the loquacious, the vivacious, the audacious Holly Phillippe. Holly, I see you're on right now.
I am
How's it
on
going?
and ready to go. Usually I'm just making it, but since we have a special guest tonight that I'm very excited for, I am here with bells on.
You are. And yes, a very special guest we have coming up for you in just a few minutes, folks. But of course, if you're listening for the first time, the Star Chamber Show is affiliated with the Imaginarium Convention. So we like to keep you up to date on all the latest news on the convention. And then, of course, we like to recognize the folks that brought you tonight's show. And again, for right before this weekend, we'll also be giving you a little bit more about the Spirited Giving event that is kicking off the AuthorCon weekend, a great charity event. So we'll have a little on that. But first, we are going to bring you up to date. So in the past week, we have had some great guests come aboard. Every week, we have new updates, new additions, and it's growing, and it's going to be the greatest summer ever. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, it is just nonstop. But in the last few days, we have welcomed aboard 4 new panelists and 1 new spotlighted guest. And joining us for the very first time is author and military historian Dan Kemp. He'd be a great addition to the programming. And also coming aboard to Imaginarium for the first time as a panelist is author Ivy Wild. We're really looking forward to having Ivy with us this summer. Then also joining us for the first time as a panelist is author M.H. David. And then coming back to Imaginarium after I think it was about 2 years, Holly, but she is back. Author H.R. Boldwood. Really excited to
Yes.
have her back, and as a panelist, and yeah, everybody that knows her
She's
knows
great.
she's awesome, both as a writer, as a panelist,
Mentor.
and
Yeah,
absolutely
mentor. She
yes,
she likes to she
mentor,
likes to answer
yes.
questions and
Mhm.
yeah, she'll sit down and have a chit chat with you, and she's very well versed.
Yes, yes, she definitely knows her craft, and she's gotten making some impressive strides in her writing career for
Yep.
sure. They got a lot of stuff going on. Just had recent, as I understand, Holly just heard from her, and she had a recent publishing deal. So yes, we're going to be yeah definitely excited to see H.R. Boldwood back with us this summer, and then last but not least, and this is a very popular figure in Imaginarium, also back since 2021, I think was the last time he was with us. But he is coming back this summer, and it is award-winning author, editor, publisher, and comic creator Brian K. Morris. And yes, it
Yeah,
sounds
the Fez.
yes,
We get the
the
Fez
Fez.
back.
The man with the fez is back, and of course, he always lights up a room. He's very positive energy. Definitely, as I told him, he definitely embodies what Imaginarium is about. So
Yes.
approachable, knowledgeable, and good at all he does. I mean, I listed several things that he does. As an author, editor, publisher, and comic creator, does all of those things very well, and has a lot of stuff in each of those categories. And if that's not enough, he's got his Rising Tide Productions YouTube show, and of course there he's always spotlighting creatives and lifting people up, and the Rising Tide name that he has definitely describes what he's about. He's about rising tide lifting all ships. Yeah, very much a supporter of the writing community, and we love Brian, and definitely excited to have him back. So yes, and I know I promised you guys an update on a few more workshops and panels being added. They will be announced. They will be announced, folks. We
Yep.
just got delayed just a bit because I wanted to clarify a couple of the descriptions, but that's been done. So I will be getting that out to everybody. And as far as my end, I think that's about it. Holly, is there
Yep.
anything else you wanted to get folks up to date on?
No, no, I've got some others I will be adding. Yeah, by next week it's going to be a really good plethora of new additions.
Yep. It's definitely will be,
Yeah,
definitely will be. And the chat room is open, and definitely welcome to everybody that's coming in the chat room. We always do watch that. Holly keeps a good eye on that for
yep.
questions and comments. And I see that some of our regular listeners are in there. Welcome to, of course, Dewan Hearn, DL Hearn, the Moon, LJ Mack. I see that. Yes, I thought I saw Carol Preflattish in there just a moment ago as well. And yeah, I see a lot of folks coming in there. And welcome to some of our new listeners, like Felicity. Welcome, Felicity.
Yes.
And of course, as just we are host, of course, on Podbean, but the day after the show, we do distribute to all platforms. So we'll be, of course, going to Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon, YouTube, and iTunes, and all the good places where you get podcasts. And so, yes, that usually happens about midday the day after we broadcast live. Glad you're here with us live, of course, but you can catch it on all those platforms. Holly, if you are done, I'm going to go ahead and dive into the folks
Let's
that
do it.
brought you to that show. Because, of course, the great Ren Garcia with his famous question, and a Sandy Lender, as we call her, the genre blender. Hope she's doing well. She's at an asphalt industry conference this week, so I hope she's able to listen in. But she is awesome, and yes, definitely got a lot going on, a lot of good stuff going on. But here's first a little bit from Ren.
The League of Elder dares to be unusual. It's easy to be swept away in this bold and uninhibited landscape where fantastic heroes become old friends and sinister villains inhabit every dark corner. Dare to explore things best left alone. Each book is your lantern, lighting the path to a world never before seen. So what do you say? Are you weird enough for us?
We
And
are
our answer
indeed
is
weird
yes.
enough for you, Mr. Ren Garcia.
We are, and it looks like Ren is just about to get organized to come out to Imaginarium this summer. So yes, your messages to him hopefully have worked. So
I
we
told
will
you
let
I
you
was
know.
going to stay on him. I wasn't going to quit. I
We will.
promised everybody I was going to stay on him.
We will definitely. We love Ren, and now we're going to go over and shift over and give you a little bit from Sandy Lender. And let me tell you, the book she's talking about in here is absolutely fantastic, nonfiction title, but it will definitely help motivate you. So here's a little bit from Sandy.
Are you a creative person working a 9 to 5 job to survive? Let's look at how to keep your energy and joy alive with the new motivational business book, Capture Your Dream, from author Sandy Lender. In Capture Your Dream, Sandy offers stories, lessons, inspiration, SWOT analysis, goal stacking strategies, and more to help you map your plan to achieve a dream job or side hustle. As a creative herself, Sandy knows it takes compromise and commitment to keep the day job to survive while chasing the dream to thrive. Assess your dragon score. Learn more about Capture Your Dream at AuthorSandyLender.com.
And thank you, Sandy. Definitely, I love that. I just love
We
that.
love you, Sandy.
Yes, we definitely do. And yes, that is a very, very good book. I have read it, and it's absolutely fantastic if you're looking for some good motivational material. And so, last but not least, we want to give you a little bit from James Sabata on Spirited Giving, a great charity that is part of the AuthorCon weekend, of course, supporting Scares That Care. James and everybody else is in Virginia right now, and
Yeah.
the Spirited Giving event is tomorrow night, Thursday evening, and then of course AuthorCon is this weekend. Lots of great folks, of course. Yeah, of course, guys like Brian Keene and all kinds of great authors are going to be there this weekend. So here we go, a little bit from James.
The Spirited Giving fundraiser returns on Thursday, March 27th, as part of AuthorCon 5 in Williamsburg, Virginia, featuring author readings from Jamie Flanagan, Brian Keene, D.M. Gay, and Rebecca Cuthbert, as well as a live performance of the epic podcast series, The Midnight Pals. All proceeds go directly to Scares That Care, a 501c3 nonprofit that has raised and donated over $300,000 to burn victims, women fighting breast cancer, and families with a child affected by illness. Check out spirited-giving.com for more information. Spirited Giving. It's gonna be one hell of a night.
And definitely, if you can, go over and check out Spirited Giving and give it your support, folks. It's a great
Yes.
thing. And let me tell you, it does help people a lot. It helps people a lot, and really want to definitely to just once again, because this is the final week. Obviously, it takes place
Yeah.
tomorrow night. So get over there and give them some support. And yes, so all right, so folks, we're going to go ahead and get this show underway a little early as
Yes.
far as when we bring our guest on tonight, and who happens to be one of Holly's all-time favorite authors. So I think that
Yes.
tonight, Holly, you're going to be probably nudging me out of most of the interview questions. I do want to get a few in this discussion. I do, because I think this author is just amazing. And so, but I've really been looking forward to it. Really needs no introduction, but I will give one. Yes, she is a #1 New York Times in USA Today best-selling author, and she is known for the House of Night series. Yes, that big series that recently had a great announcement regarding movie development. And she is also an Imaginator guest at this summer's Imaginarium convention, where you can meet her in person. And yes, there's going to be a cool workshop coming. More on that later. But I am my honor, and I am so excited to bring aboard the Star Chamber Show for the first time. Hopefully, first time of many to come. The one, the
Yes.
only P.C. Cast.
Oh,
And
oh my
P-
gosh, thank you so much, guys.
thank you.
That was a
I am just,
great intro.
oh,
Thank you.
I'm telling you, you don't know how excited I was. I have Stephen, didn't read our genre, much back in the day, and we've been together for a decade now. Well, I've been reading your books since, you wasn't writing them as fast as I could read it. Yeah, I was reading and reading and reading. I was like, come on, PC, come on, get the next one. I was going through the House of Night like a mad woman back in, we're talking 2008. 2009 is when I
Yeah.
discovered them. And
Yep.
so, yeah, I'm waiting. I'm like, come on, next book, next book, next book.
Oh my God, I was writing them so fast.
I
Okay.
know you were.
They were
Oh,
releasing I didn't have a year between releases. And so I
yeah.
was like, oh my God. Okay, so funny story about that though. When I was writing, I think it was Burned. No, maybe
Mhm.
I had just written Burned and I was going into the next book, and I got a call from my editor and I was drowning. I was drowning because not only was I writing, but when you have a series takeoff like that, everyone wants to talk to you, right?
Yes,
You're
yes.
touring. You're like every day there's interviews and podcasts
Blog
and like
tours and yeah.
yeah, we were on the Today Show. We opened the Wendy
Right.
Williams show. We were all over. It was the time to write was very narrow, and I was stressing big time. And got a phone call from my editor one day, and she was like, hey, girlfriend, just want to let you know we're moving up the release on the next book 3 months."
Oh,
And I went, and I'm not a crier, okay, at
oh,
all. I went, no, and I hung up.
oh,
And
oh,
my phone rang a few minutes later, and it was my beloved publisher, Matthew Shear, who is no longer with us and who we miss
oh.
very, very much. And Matthew was like, Bubby, boobala, boobala, what is it? Tell me. And I was like, I can't tour like in Germany and France and Australia and Japan and still write and be on TV. And he it was crazy. Okay. It was so crazy. So I do not feel your pain about wishing I was writing faster than that, because I was at my limit during especially those middle books
Oh.
that were
I'd
just like
imagine.
fire them out, fire them out, fire them out. It was insane. It was,
Yeah, because
and
they
actually
were coming out like bam, bam. And which year was it? There was one year. It seems like there was two. Wasn't there two in
I
one year?
don't know because they all run together for
God,
me.
it seems
So
like in the
it's
middle somewhere there was like two in one year, and I'm like, whoa, how'd she do this?
because she was
Yeah.
almost dead. That's why. She almost wrote herself into an early ghostly grave, I'm sure.
Whew.
And that's actually, I'm kind of feeling like that right now too, because I did not plan to actually be involved in writing the script for the
Ah.
first House of Night feature film. I kind of accidentally fell into it. And I was supposed to be writing the first of new trilogy, YA trilogy for Macmillan, that has kelpies in it, and it's set in Scotland, and it's so
Oh,
damn cool. I love it so much.
oh, what?
But
That's
I'm
awesome.
scrambling now because it's due really fast, and I was writing a script, so I'm like,
Wow.
okay, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, it's
that's
not all
the whole thing.
cupcakes and rainbows. I know some of these baby authors, they're like, "Oh, I get to write and I get to go to the coffee shop and it's relaxing and no, if you're going to do it
No.
as a job, it is a lot of work, a lot of stress,
Mm,
blood, sweat,
mm,
tears. A lot of
Well, and
tears.
yeah, so many baby authors ask me for advice about, of course, about publishing. And my
Right.
first advice was the best and first advice I was given by Teresa Miller, who was a professor at OSU Tulsa, and she was also executive director of Oklahoma's Poets and Writers Association. And I asked her for advice when I was writing my first manuscript. And she said, treat it like a job. Take off those rose colored glasses. No
Yep.
one who's successful lays around in a tutu waiting for the muses to come whisper into your ears. She was like, you need to educate yourself about how a book gets from your head to the shelves of Barnes and Noble, and
Yes.
know what an agent does, know why you need an agent, or if you need
Mhm.
an agent, know every
mhm,
aspect. Do you know what a line editor does? Do you know what a copy editor does? Do you know what your acquisitions editor does? And do you know the difference between the three of those? She gave me,
mhm.
information after, well, she didn't tell me the answers. She said, here are some books. And she said, read those and they will help you a lot. And I did that. And they did help me a lot, actually. And that is the best advice I have ever been given. And I give that advice over and over again because
Nice.
so many baby authors are so like starry eyed, and
Right.
they'll say things like, well, I was going to start this manuscript but I couldn't figure out the title, so I'm having a struggle. I'm like, dude, your publisher's going to change your title anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Just put, this is the book I'm writing at the top. And they do that
Mhm.
with characters too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know what I'm going to name this character. And I said, who the hell
Well,
cares?
yeah,
Just put,
that's
just do initials. Just put main MFC, okay?
Mhm,
MMC.
mhm.
And I was like, you're letting all like the forest debris get in the way, and you can't even see trees, okay?
right.
None of that stuff, all that stuff is extraneous. Just, and writers, and I know this won't shock you because I'm sure you're very aware, are the biggest procrastinators. And
No.
that is what happens, is you're like, oh my God, wait, I have to do a title. And then you think about doing a title
Uh-huh.
for 6 months and you don't
Uh-huh.
write a word except for that. I have washed my cat before
That's
instead of
hilarious.
writing. Yep.
I've heard you say that in another interview,
Yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
heard that.
she's
Yeah.
she's literally washed her cat. I
Mhm.
showed Stephen an interview, and I'm like, we have three tuxedos. We have Queen Victoria, Prince Albert, and then we have Leopold. And trying to wash any of these three would result
Yeah,
in blood,
adventures,
blood and shredded
adventures.
skin. I'm telling you right now. I have now Leon. I have we call him Leon, the Leopold.
Mhm.
I have like sponged bathe him, but actually put him in water.
Mm.
That'd be a
Yeah,
whole different
Well, I have
topic.
a gigantic Maine Coon, Xena Warrior Princess cast, and
nice.
um, she uh, is very offended if I ever have to wash her because she goes to the spa, of course.
Oh well,
And
yeah,
but I can wash her. I can wash her.
nice.
She'll scream and yell at me because I start when they're kittens. As soon as I get one, I
That's
wash
smart.
it.
That's
Yep, because
smart.
I
Mm,
know about the murder mittens and the murder
Yes,
maw, and they're
yes,
gonna get you. But
they
if
are
you
going
mhm,
to
start when
get you.
they're a kitten, it's totally like, yeah, it's
That's
fine then.
true. If you're
Yeah.
lucky enough to get them as a kitten. See, ours
Yep.
were all rescued. So, the two were 9 months old, and then the other one was my grand fur baby, and we inherited him. at 4 years old. So, and he was at inside outside, which now, no, you stay inside because I could keep you protected. We live in Lexington, and we
Well, yeah,
cannot
and
have.
plus avian flu
Yeah,
is killing. It kills about
well, that is
60.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my vet told me about 67 cat lovers. Pay attention. The avian flu is killing about 67% of your cats. So be super careful.
Wow,
Not as
really?
bad with dogs. Dogs just get like, sick, but cats, it is really, really hard on cats. So if you're doing like
Oh,
any raw feeding of chicken,
yeah.
any kind of
Mm,
poultry, do not cook. I have four Scotty dogs, and I have this Maine Coon, and I started cooking my Scotty dogs raw food just because I don't want them to get it, the four of them to get it, and
Right.
two of them are old men. So, but oh, speaking of cats, anyone in the Tulsa area, um, if you've read The House of Night, you'll know that Tulsa Street Cats is in the House of Night. It's a great
Yes.
facility, a rescue facility. It is not run by nuns like I had it in the books, but it's run by really lovely women, and they are looking for volunteers right now.
Well, there
So,
you go. There you go.
like
Marry meat,
kitties,
right? Marry meat
right?
and
Marry
and
meat.
meet a kitty.
That
mhm.
is right.
Let your kitty choose you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And I do want to touch on those that are new to the, because we have listeners from all over the world. We get listeners from like all kinds of neat little places. We're like, what? And and it also
Mhm.
is published to Spotify and iTunes and Amazon. So
Hmm.
tomorrow it'll, be everywhere. So I would like to go back a little bit and explain what would your greatest synopsis, because I mean your the House of Night is become a creature of its own. Okay. I have
Hmm.
been in your fan groups forever, way before I got into this job. And I've told Stephen for years, I've got
Mhm.
to get PC. I've got to get PC.
Yes, he did.
And it just,
I can verify.
and he's
Yeah,
like,
for
when
several
I
years.
first said something,
Yeah.
I'm like, Stephen, you'll love her because she loves animals.
I
She's a
do.
Yep.
cat fanatic like us. And,
Like
and
us.
she,
Yeah.
she
Cats,
loves,
dogs, horses, animals.
Hmm.
Yes.
that's it,
Everything.
and that's
Yeah.
us. I'm the Snow White of the cul-de-sac. So
Hmm.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
it's great. But yeah, give our listeners a little tidbit, a short synopsis, I guess, of the 12 House of Night, and you got four novellas
I
to
have
go with it.
there were 12 original books, four
Yep.
novellas for the original series that fleshed out the adult characters, their backstories, and then there are four spin-off books called The House
Hmm.
of Night Otherworld, Loved, Lost, Forgotten, and Found. And those four books, they do give you new information and introduce you to new characters, but they also they start a year after the last book of the original series, and they tie
Okay.
up loose ends that I
Oh,
thought about for several years after the series was over, and thought, ooh, I need to go back and fix that. Ooh, I need to tell what happened about that. Ooh, I have to do that. So I did that when I did the other four books. But just basically, The House of Night is a school where, okay, in my world, vampires are, it's a biological mutation um, that comes alive with some kids sometime around the time between 16 and 18, and a change is kicked off in their bodies. A physiological change is kicked off in their bodies, and they have 4 years to either complete this change into a vampire, or they bleed out and die. And they have to get to, as soon as they're marked, and that's with a little tattoo on their forehead. The goddess does that. They don't go to a tattoo parlor. But as soon as they're marked, they have about 24 hours to get to a house a night, because they need the pheromones that the adult vampires give off to slow down their change, so they have a chance at um, at at completing, at becoming an adult vampire, and not just bleeding out as a fledgling. And House of Night follows the story of Zoe Redbird, who is a very special fledgling. Um, she's marked at a time when this huge evil is rising in the House of Night world that really no one knows about. And the goddess marks her specially She is of Cherokee descent, and she is marked specially because she kind of bridges the gap between the ancient and the modern. And we follow her through saving the world against evil
Mm-hmm.
through the House of Nine.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of
And
crazy
then
things
the
happen. Yes.
idea, and I wanted to have you kind of explain what the tattoos represent and how each one is unique, and how Zoe's actually evolves, because hers gets added too as time goes on.
Yeah, the tattoos originally were a nod to the ancient Celts and the ancient goddess worship, where the priestesses, when accepted into the goddess service, would be marked, tattooed in some way.
Mhm.
Actually, the first tattoo I ever got is on my left thigh. It is the sigil, the flag that flies over Skyatch's castle in Skye, and this is part of the House of Night world.
Oh
Um,
my.
it's a big bull, and it has a big
Ooh.
black bull, and it has a goddess superimposed inside of it. Um, that's that 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 was also a nod to my ancestors, ancient Celts. I had the hooves on it done the way that the ancients used to do it with oh, they whittled sticks, dipped it in ink. Not pleasant. It's not pleasant, and it takes a really
No.
long time. But so the mark on their forehead when they're first, basically notified that this change has happened in their bodies and that they're either going to be a vampire or they're going to die, they get the outline of a crescent moon in deep blue, like woad blue, on their foreheads, and it's not vertical; it's diagonal, and it's not filled in or anything. It's just the outline of a crescent moon that marks you as a fledgling. Zoe's mark was different than everyone else's from the very beginning. Hers is filled in. It's just a crescent moon, but it's filled in. When a fledgling completes the change into vampire, magically the moon is filled in, and spreading from there, this moon is in the middle of their temple, your temple, like right above your nose. Um, it's when it's filled in, it gets, I'm sorry, when they become adult vampires, the mark is filled in, and then on either side of it stretches a completely original, unique tattoo to each vampire.
Yeah.
And no one's ever received any extra tattoos. Nothing else has ever gone on until Zoe. And hers is filled in. She's not an adult vampire. Hers is filled in. And then as we go through the series, she doesn't change until the very last book of the series, but the original series. But as we go through the series and work towards that, every time she does something that the goddess is acknowledging as she's on the right path, she gets a little addition to her tattoo. Like there's one that goes across her chest,
Yeah.
like from shoulder to shoulder. There on her palms. There's one that goes all the way down her spine and around her waist. She has them. She has more tattoos than I do, and that's a lot of tattoos.
Well, and you did answer for me, because that was one of my questions was, do you have any tattoos inspired by the characters or the mythos,
Yeah,
and
just that.
so
The one on my
just that.
leg. The first one.
That's
Yeah, the other I have a full sleeve, and then it turns into a dragon on my shoulder that goes down my back, and I have a huge dragon on my back, and I have a goddess down my side, and I have bull heads facing the dragons blowing smoke at
nice.
them, and all kinds of crazy shit like that. Yeah.
That's
Cool.
fantastic. Well, we do have a question from the chat. Or
Oh boy, okay.
Tiffany, yeah, Tiffany Snall. I guess I'm saying it right. Tiffany, don't come at me. I'm trying my best. Snall, I assume Snal. She says, "Oh my gosh, I've been trying to find out what Thanatos, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but I've always
No,
called him
Thanatos,
Thanatos.
that's correct.
All right,
Tiffany,
well I said it right.
Tiffany, I do not remember. Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay,
It's been like a million years ago.
yeah, they've been trying to find out about the facial mark. Yes, and
I don't remember what hers was.
it's been
I
a hot minute. Yeah, I
It's been
don't
a hot
either.
minute. I don't even. I do remember what happens with her, but
Right.
I don't. And ironically, right now I'm working with our awesome director Rain Lee, and we're creating everyone's tattoos, right? All their marks and costumes and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm like having to reread a bunch of House of
I bet.
Night and be like, wait, what did what was that?
Well, there's so much. As I said, your world is so vast and the characters are so rich and the backgrounds of these characters, you've taken you've got all these B characters that are really main characters too in their
Yeah.
own right. And they have their backstory, which you did have the novella spin-offs, which went, a little further in depth into, a few of them. But you have your creatures, you have, the whole Raven Mocker, which I
Oh
I
yeah.
know, stems from like Cherokee mythos, and I
Yep.
wanted to kind of touch on that too, and so people understood what is a Raven Mocker and where did you get inspired to even put these in the story.
I was inspired by the Cherokee mythos of Ravenmockers, that they are really they're negative, evil spirits that kind of that can feed off of those who are, especially like an elderly person who's dying. Um, and I remember reading a description of how they look like giant ravens or crows, but they had like the eyes of man and like the hands and feet. They were gross. It was disgusting. Okay. And I thought, this is perfect. I love this. Okay.
Yep.
And because I was creating Kelowna and he was going to be a very
Oh,
negative character for quite a while.
love
And
him.
these Raven mockers became, they were his bastard children.
Right.
And and I really was just creating like these monsters. And then all of a sudden in that book, which one? Tempted, maybe. I don't remember which one it was. The one where it's not like, I'm telling you guys, they literally run together, and it's difficult for me
I,
to
I want to
like.
say I want to say you're right. I'm thinking it was Tempted. I'd
Maybe.
have to go back because I'm like you. I haven't read these and well when they come out. That's
Yeah,
been
long time.
well over a decade.
But in Tempted, the nerd herd, my all the good characters, the positive characters, are they flee the House of Night, and they go to, in the middle of a big ice apocalypse, in snow apocalypse, ice apocalypse in Tulsa. They flee the House of Night and they go to the Benedictine nuns that are actually just down the street from where I set the House of Night in Tulsa. And they're having a big battle with Kelowna and his Ravenmocker sons, who are now corporeal and can cause all sorts of havoc. And they're shooting at him, and all kinds of crazy shit's going on. And when they finally cast a spell and get Neferet and Kelowna the hell away from them, um, we think that everything's fine. And then Stevie Ray, one of our main characters, goes out and she finds this Raven Mocker who's been shot. And he's
Yeah.
crumpled down, and she's supposed to kill him. That's why she went out there. That's why I put her out there. She was
Uh-huh.
supposed to kill him. And
Right.
instead, he looks at her and she sees humanity in his eyes, and then he speaks to her,
Yep.
and she hears it in his voice. And I was like, and she's like, okay, I'm going to help you. And I was like, oh crap. What the hell? I didn't mean for this to happen. And then I kept writing it, and they started falling in love. And I was like, no, 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 no,
This
no, no.
wasn't where I was going.
Yep, yep. I was just like, no, 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 I don't understand. No, no, no. And so, those of you who read The House of Night will notice that when they started falling in love, um, I quit describing anything except like Raphaim's eyes, voice, hand, because he was a hideous bird thing, okay? Giant, disgusting, hideous bird thing. And that's I ugh. I just actually I was just I had about a 2 hour call with our director last night, and I told Rain, I was like, oh, by the way, I need to apologize, because she's reading ahead. she's read over and over again. Where the first movie is Marked and Betrayed. Most of the action of Marked and Betrayed, not all of it. There's something that we had to save until Act One of the movie two, but it's Marked and Betrayed, and so she's been reading Marked, Betrayed, and Chosen over and over again, and now she's moving on. And I said, I want to apologize for Raphaim, and I have no clue how you're going to make him in any way attractive to the audience when we get there. And we're going to have to get there. They're going to at least be coming out of the, like Kelowna's got to at least have escaped at the end of movie two, because that's at the end of Untamed, and Untamed's book 4. So 3 and 4 are Chosen and Untamed. So it's just, woof.
Because
Okay.
they are like my favorite like the characters beside the actual vampires of the storyline, Zoe and the
Oh yeah,
nerd.
I love Raphaim and Stevie Ray's.
I
Yeah,
I
I
love
think they're my
I
favorite
love
love
that
genre.
whole
Yeah.
yeah, I love that whole love story.
I like
And
Beauty and the Beast. I like writing Beauty
yeah,
and the Beast stuff.
yeah.
So, yeah.
So I never pictured him as quite as hideous as that, because well, they took a turn. You start it that way, but then it's like, oh, they took a turn. Those two anyway.
They didn't. They didn't. Okay, he's still hideous, but I
Oh,
just quit describing his hideousness. Um, I don't know. Rain and I've talked a little bit about it, and I've said perhaps as they fall in love, he can look more and more human, but
right.
we shall see. Okay.
Gonna be interesting. That's gonna be neat. And I want to talk about, because years ago, we're talking like around COVID time,
Hmm.
there was talks about the series being turned into like a TV series, and then it got
Yes.
pushed back because of COVID, and then we didn't hear nothing for a while, and then we heard, well, maybe a movie. So, I mean, is it like the same people, or do we
No.
we have a changeover?
No. What happened was late 2019. Um, two TV producers joined the Davis Films House of Night team, and said, "Okay, let's do a TV series." And I was very much for that. I was like,
Right,
absolutely. Some of you will remember that late 20, like October ish, 2019. Um, One of the two producers met me in Tulsa. Well, actually, both of them did, but one flight got delayed. He didn't make the signing. They met me in Tulsa to be at a big book signing for, I think, the last House of Night book, or one of the, no, that would have been one of the House of Night Otherworld books, um,
okay,
in 2019. Uh, and then I showed them all around Tulsa because, of course, all the locations are real. And
right.
that we were very gung ho, really excited. Started working on scripts and stuff, and then COVID happened.
Uh,
And then COVID was followed back to back by the writer's strike, screenwriter's strike. Actors
Mhm.
strike first and the writer's strike both lasted quite a while. And by the time those two things were done and COVID was sort of handled, um, the it, as you guys will notice, as just TV viewers, streaming, and I mean,
Oh yeah.
you've seen the
yeah.
amount of shows that have been canceled
Oh
after,
yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah.
like it can't get to 3 seasons even. And there just was not, I mean, there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm about a new TV series. And so my producers kind of took a step back. And then a couple years ago, Molly Hassel signed on. She's worked with Davis Films years and years and years and years and years. But she got excited about House of Night, and she and I started talking. And she's like, what if Davis Films produces like an indie film? And we look at doing an indie film for like making them feature films and see what happens. And I said, let's do it. Let's try. And
Right.
that's how we got where we are now.
And you've got one producer what worked on Resident Evil,
That's
and
Molly Hassel. She just did.
Molly did. That's
She
what I
does
was gonna
Resident
say.
Evil.
There's
She
some.
also did The Crow. The Crow was just
Oh
released.
yeah,
Molly is massively awesome, and Rain Lee is our director. She's in Beijing right now. She is incredible. Molly and I interview directors together. I've been involved in absolutely every aspect. Molly and I
nice,
together chose Rain, and it was like Rain was a standout too. She got it from the very first time she and I talked. She got it. She respects my canon so much. She does not want to break canon. She wants to stay as true to the books. As a matter of fact, while we were writing the script, um, she would say things like, okay, Turn to Betrayed, chapter, 22, page, whatever. You see this dialogue? Okay, pick it up, pull it out of there, and put it right in that scene. I want this exact dialogue in that scene. And
Nice.
so even
nice.
though we have to change it to
Hmm.
smush two books together, it has to be changed. It
Hmm.
also, the early House of Night books were all told first person from Zoe's point of view. You've got to make major changes to translate that to film. Um, and you have to make big changes. You have to change things
Hmm.
visually. You have to see
Right,
them. It's just such a different writing process. To writing a script versus writing a novel, so different. But she is absolutely. When I have said to her, "No, no, no, that won't work. That breaks canon. We can't do that," she's been like, "Okay, not a problem at all. How about if we go about it this way then?" And then she and I brainstorm, and we come up with a way to make what happened in the scene in the book translate to film without screwing up canon and without like taking it in a whole different direction. Example is, you guys will remember in the first book, I have to remember which book things happen in, but in the first book, um, when they're just learning about Aphrodite's ability to have visions
yeah,
of death visions, right?
right,
Aphrodite has one about Grandma Redbird, and Grandma Redbird is going over a bridge that is down the Arkansas River towards Tahlequah, and a barge crashes into the bridge. Grandma Redbird's on the bridge, and she dies, and people on the bridge die. That actually, a version of that happened in real life in Oklahoma.
oh,
Tragically, barge conductor, I think, if I remember correctly, he had a heart attack, and it was really bad. I used that as inspiration for the scene. Now, the scene's very important in the book from things that happen because of it. Like we learn we can trust Aphrodite to some extent. And we also, my main group of kids starts understanding they have powers. We, so we kept the scene, but we moved it to Tulsa, to a bridge going over Tulsa. And instead of the barge, we have a tornado coming in. And see, those are the slight changes that visually are more interesting and visually get what we want the audience to know, and what Zoe said inside of her head. So it has to be
right,
visual. And at the same time, this is right around the time when the nerd herd is figuring out that they each have an affinity for an element. And so it also, that we manipulate the bridge scene so that that comes to a head on the bridge scene, and the four of them realize with Zoe, oh my God, we all have affinities for these elements. So those are the kind of
it,
changes that we made,
it
but
made
it's,
sense. Yeah,
yeah, and it's all
yeah,
true
Hmm.
to the House of Night and all in canon. And there's nothing that's going on that I haven't approved, including like characters. I like cast, that kind of stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a comfort, I tell you, because a lot of authors, are for one reason or another not able to do that, and so that's always causes a problem with the with readers for sure, and
yeah,
Well, most of
especially
them don't have
especially
an opportunity to.
yeah,
That's the
right,
problem, is that
yeah,
I feel like I'm very grateful for Davis Films because they don't have to include me like they are. Yeah, it says in my contract with them that um I get to make I have creative input. nowhere in that contract does it say they have to listen to my creative input.
Right, that you have control. Right.
Yeah. And I do. I
Well,
have
see,
not just,
that proves they're wanting to make it.
They're
That's a
wise.
difference
Yeah.
between wanting to make it for the fans
Right.
yep.
and wanting
Mhm.
just to make it,
Mhm.
for a specific audience. They're wanting to make this for the fans. You have to stay
Mhm.
true to canon, or they're going to rip you apart. If you're making it for the
Oh, yes.
fans, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
People
And
get
every
bent
time,
out of shape when you change major things.
well, and you
Mhm.
also have to deal with Hollywood
Yeah.
and their make it more cinematic, bigger, bigger, bigger. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
Right.
no,
Right.
that's not what this is about. That is not it. You want big cinematic? Okay, that'll be the bridge scene. That's big and cinematic. And
Mhm.
the rescue in the tunnels at the end, big and cinematic. But there's nuance. And
Mhm.
you also have to fall in love with the kids. You have to love the cast of characters. And I am always very quick to say, no, that does not work. Just because they want something splashy, they don't, here, I'm just going to tell you the truth. They don't fucking read, okay?
Right.
Hollywood
There
doesn't
you go.
read.
That's right.
So
It's
I am
true.
advocating not just for my world, but I'm advocating for my OG longtime fans. And I'm like,
Mhm.
Yes.
no, that's why I get irritated when fans are like, don't let them ruin it. And I'm like, look, you're talking about me. I'm
Right.
writing the script. I am saying yes to director. I am saying, yeah, that actress or actor is going to work really great as Zoe, and no, that one will not. So it's me. So that
Right.
it's like you guys can, and I've said it so many times in so many ways. Were I not intimately involved, I would be telling my fans, "Hey guys, I'm gonna watch this with you, and just hope they don't butcher my world."
Hope
And
for the best.
we're just hoping for the best. But no,
Along for the ride.
I will be on set. I
Mhm.
See,
literally
that's
my
amazing.
see
That's great.
Rain literally has said, I want you. She even said, okay, so most directors are like, get the author out of here. She
Right.
said,
Mhm.
I want you with me through the whole thing so that I can turn to you and say, hey, wait, if we change this and do this, is that canon break for you? Because she hasn't
Right.
read all, you know, 16 big books and 4 novellas.
Right.
And
Mhm.
and there are things that she could do to this movie that would totally screw up future books. And I'm there saying, no, you can't do that, or yeah, that's cool, we can do it, or better, I like this is, and we do this real. Rain and I do this really well together. Do the whole, okay, how can we make this work in canon and still not deviate too much for what happened in the first 2 books?
Right.
Mhm.
Right. And there is ways around it. Like you
Yep,
said, with the whole elemental control, that makes perfect sense.
yep,
Mhm.
And it has to happen. You got to condense. That's like, yes, there's always going to be more in the books. There's nothing you can do about that. You've got to take books that take, months to produce, hours to read, and condense it down to, an hour
yeah,
and a half to a
and
2 hour film.
110 minutes. We have like
Yeah.
Mhm.
110 minutes.
Right.
And we were
That
trying to
it's
leave in,
hard.
you will remember that there's something very big that happens in book 2 that makes everyone in the world cry. Let's
Yes.
not
Yes.
mention what it is. The OG fans know exactly what I'm
Yes.
talking about.
Yes.
Originally, we wrote that into the first movie. We wrote what happened to her
Oh,
in Betrayed into the first movie, and it
okay.
was 2.5 hours long. Yeah. And my producer said, we can't do 2.5 hours. And I'm like, so we all put our heads together again and decided that we would save that particular event to Act 1 in movie 2. So that is just nothing but timing. And the reason, and you'll know because you know what I'm talking about,
Yes, I do.
you have to care about that character before what happens to her, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so we need a movie to care about that character, just like I needed a book. It didn't happen till book 2, the like towards the end of middle of book 2, I guess. But I need that much time. And since I don't have 2.5 hours, we had to move that to book 2. We also are moving Lenobia and her horses to book 2, because we did not have time
Oh,
for those either. I know, but when you think about the first couple books, the horses weren't a big deal until
no.
like a little bit later on, like
Right.
when they're
Right.
escaping the house of night. That
Mm-hmm.
was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
what's more a big deal is like showing scenes where we're developing the relationships with like Damien, who's fencing in the field house. We have all
Right.
that, you know,
Right.
and you need to see the classes the kids are going to. And horses and the stables will take a
Well,
lot
and the
of
whole coming to
time.
age, the whole coming to
Yeah.
age and coming to the realization, oh, I'm a vampire. I'm
Yep.
also, a witch. There's a lot going on here.
Now I have all these boys too. My God, they all want to
Yeah,
date me. You know, all that kind of stuff.
right. Normal teenage stuff. Yeah,
Normal stuff. So
right.
that's what we there are changes like that, and the horse one has killed me because I really didn't want to make that decision. I was really pressing really hard, and if my producer, if Molly was here, she would be rolling her eyes and laughing because there were like a month-long period where she'd say something and I'd say, if we do that, can we have horses? Do we have time to have horses now? And she'd be like, no, we don't have time to have horses.
No horses.
And I'm like, but really? Okay, but can I cut that? She's like, do you want to cut the bridge scene? And I'm like, no, then we don't have time for horses. I'm like, oh my God, okay. You have to be so mean.
But I see, I get it. I get
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay
Yeah.
to move them to two because
We
that could
are
be a
having horses.
big
We
part of
will,
two.
don't worry.
Yes. Oh, you
Lenobia
gotta
is
have Lenobas. You gotta have them.
Lenobia is a huge part,
Yes,
and
Lord, yes.
we have all that. There's no way Lenobia, and I also, you know, we're thinking about actresses and all that kind of stuff too, and
Uh huh.
actors, and
Uh
we're
huh.
doing that, and that all plays into it too. But no, I was very. Molly laughs at me a lot about it because I was like very, very, can I have horses if we don't have this? And she's like, no. I'm like, oh my God, okay. We can have them in number 2 though. Yes, of course. I'm like, okay. But, and then the cats, there are lots of cats.
Kitty
And
kitties.
yep, Nala and
Yeah.
Skylar and all of them. And I've been very, please don't CGI our cats. Okay. Well, maybe you can CGI some of them running around, but Nala has to be a for realsies cat.
Mhm.
And of course, producers be like, just kill me now, okay?
Well, if you ever need an extra cat herder, I'm your
Right?
girl because I'm telling you, we're becoming an expert. Because we've got Leon here, doesn't get along with the other two. We live in a house divided. I say we have to change them in and out of rooms, and
I
it's
feel
it's
you.
quite hysterical. And the whole house looks like it is a cat house. We are running a cat
Yep.
house
Yep.
because we're catified everywhere, and there's cat toys and we don't care because we love them and they're our babies and that's the way it is. And you understand it because I know your love by animals. But
Yep.
and I do want to touch on what started this. What inspired the collab with Kristen? I mean, did you sit and think, oh, I want to write this House of Night series, but I don't know who I want to edit this because the editor author relationship is so important and it's very hard to find, and me and Steven are both editors also
Mhm.
and run a small press. So we get the editor author relationship. I'm his editor. And I don't pull no punches with him,
Mhm.
and you got to have that. You got to have somebody that's not going to blow smoke up your ass. You're going to have somebody that's going to make you be in check, right? So when did
Yeah.
you come to the realization? Let's bring Kristen because I know you guys have been so close. You are so close. You have
We
a
are.
great
Yeah.
mother and daughter relationship.
Yeah,
And
we
so
do.
when did
Yeah.
you decide, well, we either do this and want to kill each other or we do this and it's going to be fantabulous?
Oh, I didn't even worry about killing each other.
Okay.
We've been, like you said, I've been a single parent forever, and
Hmm.
she and I are very close. Not just mother daughter close, but we're really good friends, and we've been business partners for a long time. And we I respect her as an editor and as an author, as well as a businesswoman. She's a better businesswoman than I am, by far, by far. But No, it happened like immediately. It was accidental kind of. I was writing and I needed to write the first three chapters and a proposal, and was showing it to my editor at Berkeley, and that's not who bought it. My editor at Berkeley, and she wanted to see the first three chapters and a proposal, and that's where I had my Goddess Summoning books. Is with Berkeley, and so I was in my office. Well, my office then was half of my bedroom. There was a divider though, so I called it an office. My office. I kept calling from my office. Kristen's name is Kristen Francis Cass, so her initials are KFC. So quite often she gets called Chicken. Um, but I was like,
Love it.
Chicken, what would you say if? And she was 19. Okay, she was home for a first part of college. She was home, and I would ask her questions like, I thought, okay, I'd been teaching for so long, teaching teenagers for so long. I didn't think I'd have any problem with the language,
Uh,
and but as I started writing it, my 70s teenager like reared her head, and like I would say things like, Kristen, or Chicken, which is it? Is it revving an engine or is it gunning an engine today? It was that kind of stuff. And it was also stuff
right.
like, Kristen, okay, what's the brand of that big puffy coat everyone's wearing right now? You know, it was that kind of stuff that happened. And after I did that a few times, I kept yelling to her out in the living room. I walked out. I hadn't even sold it yet, of course. I walked out and I was like, Precious, would you like to like co-author this book with mommy? I didn't mean write it, okay? 'Cause she wasn't a writer then. And
Right.
she said, will it be like Kristen Cast and PC Cast? I said, no, it'll be PC Cast and Kristen Cast. And she said, will I be famous? And I was just a mid-list author, okay? I had absolutely, I said,
I don't
I
know.
told her, I thought I lied. I said, yeah, sure. And she said, okay. Then I called my agent and asked my agent, hey, do you think that, you know, on this proposal it'd be okay to add Kristen's name? She's like going to serve as like my teen voice editor. And my agent was like, I kind of like that I kind of like that mother-daughter thing. And I said,
Hmm.
okay. So I put it on there and then Macmillan bought it. Macmillan bid $1,000 a book more than Berkeley bid, and that's how they got the House of Night. And
Hobby.
when I and by $1,000 more a book for the first three, um, that wasn't it wasn't like $501,000. It was $15,000 is what bought that, and Berkeley offered 14. And I
Oh
was a
wow,
I was a teacher, uh, Oklahoma's public school teacher, making barely minimum wage,
that was a
and
lot of money.
it was a lot of money, and I needed that money. And so I said, okay, let me try Macmillan. I've written for Harlequin and Berkeley by that time, but I hadn't written for Macmillan. I was like, okay, let me try writing for Macmillan. And that's how that happened.
That's incredible.
And
And
Kristen, no, so Kristen did none of the writing on any of the House of Night books. Not
wow.
the original 12, not the four through Berkeley, or I mean through Blackstone, and not the novellas. Um, Kristen and I started actually co-authoring other books outside of the House of Night. We did Sisters of Salem together, Give Up the Night, Draw Down the Moon, The
Hmm.
Disasters. We did those together. But
Hmm.
House of Night, she served as teen voice editor for the early books, um, and for Love, Lost, Forgotten, and Found. She really was my point editor there. She by
Oh,
that time
that's
she had a
cool.
lot more experience,
Right.
and so she was who I counted on for those, especially for Forgotten, because I had a really bad horse accident when I was supposed to be
Hmm.
writing Forgotten, and I had to I couldn't write for several months, and
Right.
then I forced myself to go back to writing faster than I should have. And she got that book, and she was that manuscript, and she was like, she told me later that she told her partner, who I adore, Doug. She told Doug, she was like, if Phyllis is done writing these books, she needs to just stop writing House of Night because this book is so bad. And then she told me that later, okay, after she sat me down and was like, okay, let's
Well, there could
talk
be some
about this book a little
changes.
bit. And then when she was telling me how I messed it up, right, I would say, I did not do that. And she would flip open the manuscript and she'd be like,
The
page
page
205,
number,
that's exactly what you did. I'm like, oh, okay. And
line 6.
yeah, she's like, the rest of it, she's like, it got better. After this point, it gets way better. And I said, well, that's probably when I should have started writing, is then.
Uh,
So then I
uh,
had to rewrite that book. But yeah, Kristen didn't write any of the House Night. She's just saved
wow.
the Otherworld books. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's what I've not had a chance to read those. Now I've definitely got to get them on my list. I've got to go get those read too.
The
But
last
I,
one,
I'm excited.
Found is the last one, and
Hmm.
Found is my favorite book in the entire series.
Really?
Yep, I love that book. Cried, bawled my eyes out. It's so good.
Wow.
Oh, and by the way, you'll know this, Holly.
Uh-huh.
Jack's back in the Otherworld series.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that made the
You
hair
won't.
stand up on my arms.
Oh, they'll make you snot cry too, girl.
I know. My God. Yes, I need to buy them right away. I told Steven, I said, I'm behind. I haven't got I've never got the graphic novel, which I've got to get. But I said, I just discovered you had these Oracle cards. And I'm
Yes,
like,
I
I
Oh,
must
they're
surprised
have
so
her.
these.
cool.
I surprised
I'm,
Holly and got her a
yeah, I'm
gift
like,
of
I
those
must
Oracle
have these
cards.
Oh,
because
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
I have tons
yeah.
of, I collect, the tarot. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I have to have these. You know,
They're cool. They're really good too. Colette
they're
Baron
beautiful.
Reed. I
Oh,
love them. Yeah, we did the art and everything together. Actually, Kristen and I are in the deck. I'm Confidence, and
yes.
Kristen is Fledgling.
You're
Um,
right, Holly. You're right.
Uh-huh.
you're right.
I
I
Yeah,
said
yeah, it
talked
that's,
was.
to her about that.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
they
Yeah,
were.
I got
That
that.
was such a really cool experience. Colette Baron Reed is a very successful intuitive. She has
Uh-huh.
done. She did my favorite Oracle deck is the Avalon Oracle deck that she did. Um, and I've used it for many, many years. She and I have been friends since the release of Goddess by Mistake, which became Divine by Mistake. But Goddess by Mistake was
Uh-huh.
the first book I was ever published by me. My I did not publish it. Someone else did, of course, but it was my first book published, and she and I have been friends since then. And that was 2000. That was in 2000, I think that book released,
Wow.
or 99. I can't remember. A long time ago. So, but yeah, the Oracle cards are really cool.
They
Yep.
are. They're neat. And
Yeah.
that's what said I've not actually did a reading with them yet. I haven't smudged them and done a reading, but I sit here and when I got, I had to go through every individual card like you do. And I had to look at all these illustrations and I'm like, oh, this is Kristen. And I sit
Yep.
it out. I
Yep.
said, Steven, this is Kristen.
You
I
Uh
said,
did.
huh.
I'll tell you that right now.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was. Yep.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, I found that. But those are beautiful. So anybody out
Yeah.
there listening, get the
Oh, they're
Oracle
gorgeous.
cards. I
They're
got mine
such
off
quality.
Amazon. So yeah, they're absolutely beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
you
But
can
yeah,
quality
order
is
them
amazing.
from any. You can order
yeah,
them from any bookstore. Yeah.
Yep.
really cool.
Yeah, they're
Really
beautiful.
cool. So I like that you reached out and did that too and were inspired to do so. And I also wanted to talk about what are you reading now? What's your books that's PC is reading? What's on your
Oh my
to
gosh.
read
Okay. Okay.
what
Okay.
are you reading?
I just finished Onyx Storm, and before
Okay.
I finished Onyx Storm, I had to go back and reread the first two, and I'm glad I did because I had forgotten so much. I just finished Onyx Storm, and then I'm doing the same thing with Legendborn. Um, so let's see, Legendborn and Bloodmarked are the first two, and what is the third? I'm rereading the first two books in the Legendborn series because the third one just came out, and like with Onyx Storm, they're pretty big books, and I read them as soon as they came out, so I need to remind myself. But so I am rereading Legendborn right now by uh, this amazing woman of color, Tracy Dion. She is
Tracy
fucking
Dean.
fabulous. Okay,
Well,
she's
I'm going to write this down. Legend Born.
Legend
And
Born
these
is the
are like
first book. The
epic
second,
fantasies.
they're YA, and
Ooh.
they're YA, and they're yeah. Sorry, it is a really smart, interesting retelling of the Arthurian legend. And one of the
Very
key
cool.
What?
players, yep, one of the key players in this whole thing is Bree, and she is this amazing black girl. And so it's
Nice.
Legendborn, Blood Marked, and the third one that just came out is Oathbound. And so I'm
Well, I'm going to
redoing
check
that.
this out.
So good.
Oathbound.
I cannot recommend them highly enough. They're so good.
Nice.
You will
Oh,
love Bree. This heroine is so fantastic, and the retelling the Arthurian thing. It's set today.
Mhm.
It's set at a university actually today. It's
nice.
how they bring the Arthurian legend into today's world and modern times is really interesting, and it's so well written. So well written.
I'll say I love the whole Arthurian mythos.
Mhm.
I love the legends. I love all the different, tellings of the legend. I don't believe it was legend. I believe he definitely was real. But
Well, and this
yeah,
comes from this is
I love it.
the this author's um, Arthurian legend is based on the what I consider to be, and what I think history does too. The If the real Arthur lived, he lived in 500 CE in Wales, and I'm of
Uh-huh.
Welsh
Mhm.
descent, and I have actually I've hiked around the Snowdonia Mountains in Wales, where Merlin's Cave is supposed to be.
Oh
I
wow.
saw the big mountain on top of where Camelot was supposed to have been built. And from the mountain is where the red dragon of Wales and the white dragon emerged, and the red dragon of Wales killed the white dragon. All sorts of cool shit. Yep. So, and
Oh
that's the
man.
version that the Welsh version is the version that is in this story. It's
Well,
really
thank
good.
you, because I will definitely check that out. Because as we tell authors all the time, to be a great author, you've got to be a reader.
Oh
There is
yeah,
no way around that.
no
You've
way
got
around
to
that.
be
Yeah,
a reader. No, no.
Mhm.
Because you got to hear
Absolutely.
other points of view. You got to see how other people address certain plot problems or character arcs, or you need to see, and you need to read outside your genre. Yeah, my favorite genre is YA and the paranormal. I'm a closet vampire. As Steve will tell you, I'm a vampire. But
yeah.
yes,
I
I
read everything. Yep.
yeah.
Mhm. Absolutely.
But I love, all a whole bunch of different other stuff. I don't just read that. I
Yeah.
read Stephen King. I read, outside my genres. But you have to. You
Yep.
have to be. A well versed woman is a very dangerous creature indeed.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
And while we're talking about the UK, though, I do want to say something, because
Yes,
you picked one of my favorite historical figures of all time, and
Boudica.
I did get to the UK, and I did with my mother and sister back in 2010, and I made my way to the near the Thames, and I did get to take a picture under that awesome sculpture of Boudica
Of
and the
Boudica,
chariot
yeah. Mm-hmm.
with her daughters, and she's always been like a huge inspiration to me. I have I love ancient history, older history, medieval and prior dark ages, and before that even ancient world history. And Boudica is definitely one of my top. And I love how you have a book about her, and this is a fairly recent one too. The hardcover was just out
Yeah, it
this
just
year.
came out.
Yeah,
Yes.
January.
And you call her Boudica, and I want to know where that comes from, the different pronunciation. I find
There
that
are
fascinating because I've only heard her called Boudica.
there are lots of different pronunciations of Boudica, especially
Okay.
if you go to the UK and talk to people from Scotland, England, Ireland. Boudicca. Boudica
I heard that. I
is
did hear that
Hmm.
too. Yeah.
basically, yep. Boudica is basically Boudica it said the way an English person would, an UK person would say her name. I
Mhm.
Okay.
Americanize it. When if you say with a long O, if you say Boudica, it tends to be an Americanization of the word Boudica.
Mhm.
Instead of
Right.
Boudica. But
Right.
either
Right.
none of them were probably actually how her name sounded when it was
Well,
said then.
exactly. Yeah.
It was
Oh
probably
yeah.
a lot more like Boudicca
Oh,
than
Mhm.
yeah. Right.
than any of those. But I love, yeah, I have been I've wanted to tell her story since 2007, and I I love that book. Love that book, and it was a lot of work, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm very proud of it. Like that book a lot.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of my favorite historical figures, and I just love that you did a book about yeah, because I love it when people discover that story
And it's a
Yeah.
in fiction
romantic
or anything. Yeah,
fantasy. Is
No,
that
romantasy.
how
Yes,
you've
no,
done it?
or is it?
no, no,
No.
no,
No.
no. It is
Eh,
not romantic. There is
Okay.
some sex in it, but this is an example of a publisher slapping a
Category.
"Ooh, look at
Yeah.
me. This is romantasy and
Okay.
it's passionate, it's lusty, it's no, it's historical fantasy. It's not
Okay.
Mhm.
romantasy at all. The next book I've written for Morrow that retells the story of Skaha, who Skyatch was based on for the House of Night, that ancient queen from the Isle of Skye.
Mhm.
Um,
Yes.
that
Yep.
is romantasy. That's way more romantasy. It's based on Irish mythology, but it's romantasy. This book, Boudica, not romantasy at all. It's historical fiction. That's what it is.
Nice. Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
That took a
Stephen will definitely be
shitload of
reading
research.
that one.
Yes, I'll have that read by Imaginarium. I
Yes, he will.
love
I think you will
yeah, I love
enjoy it.
Boudica.
I loved
Yep.
it. My mission on that was to bring the ancient Celts alive and to bring her
Mhm.
alive, and I think I did that. And I love the book. Love the book.
Yep. Yep. She's
Love
an
the next
amazing
one too.
figure.
I love the one about
Nice.
Skaha, Skyatch's book too, a lot.
Yep.
I had to turn the Ulster cycle upside down because it was
Nice.
a
Nice.
patriarchal mess. And if you know anything about
Yes.
Cuchulainn, he was like the
Mhm.
biggest meat-headed, ridiculous, outside of Hercules, the biggest idiot
Mhm.
man, person, baby.
Mm,
And he's the hero in the book too.
Yeah.
Hero, well,
well, of
Skaha
course.
is really the hero, but he's in the book, and so I had to turn that upside down, which I enjoyed doing so
Nice.
much. I proposed turning three more ancient, like very heavily patriarchal stories upside down,
Yes.
and I'm doing
Love
it
it.
but I'm also doing it romantasy. So it's not really historical fiction. It's more like mythological romantasy.
Right.
Ooh,
Nice.
Right.
Cool.
And
fun, a
Stephen
lot of
knows
fun.
I love that. I'm down with the patriarchy and down with,
Yeah.
and he loves strong women, obviously, because well, he's
Right.
stuck with me. So,
Well, yeah, it wouldn't
it
be a
shows.
folly otherwise.
That's right.
Well, and also, a man who's confident in himself is never intimidated by a strong woman. He
Exactly.
prefers it.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
it.
yeah,
That's
Exactly.
it.
yep.
Yep. It
Mhm.
it it definitely takes a strong one to, deal with us and be able to, yeah.
But these books are a lot of fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
I love turning ancient stories upside down, and so I'll be
That's
Yes,
doing
fun.
some
sounds
of that in the
great.
future. And also this trilogy that will be out with Macmillan. The first book right now is titled "A Court of Dark Water." Um,
Mm,
I don't know if that okay. My editor likes the title a lot, so it might
okay.
stay with the first book.
It
That's what's
might
on it
stick.
right now. What? Sorry.
I said it may stick.
It may stick. One never knows. When it gets to sales, one never knows what's going to come
Mhm.
back.
That's
So
true. That's
Right.
true. And I wanted to know how many fur babies or other do you have right now, because you have a whole plethora of lovely animals surrounding your world.
I do. As a matter of fact, surrounding me right now are four
There
Scotty
you go.
dogs. They're
Nice.
sleeping. Thankfully, they're sleeping. and it just started raining, so no one's walking by that they have to alert that, go on high alert. So they've been quiet. The Maine Coon is on her throne, her catio throne, and horses are in the barn. So
Yep.
Nice. So you
Well,
do have horses on
I
still
do.
right now. You have horses. So that's cool.
Yes, I
yep.
have.
You still
Yes,
ride
for
horses.
many years. For many, many
Mm,
years, I rode before I could. I don't
yeah.
remember not
Yeah.
riding. So yeah.
Wow.
Well, as you can guess, those of us in Kentucky love horses. Yes,
Yes.
Yes.
real passion for horses here.
Hmm.
You'll find that everywhere. But
I'm having
that
a
is
lot of
great.
fun with this Kelpie book, because when Kelpies are on land, they look like big Frisians. Only they have
Nice.
silver bells braided into their mane and tail. And
Oh,
so, of
Ooh.
nice.
course, I've had to do
Beautiful.
all this research about Frisians.
Yeah.
And just really, if I had my own barn right now, I don't have my own ranch right now. I don't live in Tulsa anymore. I don't live in Oklahoma anymore. I live in Oregon, and I don't right now have land of my own outside of the city, and I'm working on that. So my horses are at a I stable them at a barn
Hmm.
um,
Hmm.
Yeah.
in Washington, actually. But if I had land right now of my own, I promise you there'd be a Frisian on it, because like when I
Oh,
was
yeah.
writing
Oh
House
yeah.
at Night, I had to buy I had to buy a Percheron because of
Oh,
Big
of course.
Bonnie,
Oh, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
bought
Love them.
Big Bonnie, and but
That's awesome.
almost like horses. That's another reason why I get mad at Molly. And I'm like, when do I get my horses? Because I put a bunch of my horses in the book. I'm like, come on.
Well, you love the horses I love, because I'm a huge fan of Percherons, Friesians, and Belgian draft horses. I love
Yes.
Belgians. Yeah,
See, I have
they're
never been. I haven't been around a Belgian draft horse.
oh,
I've
they're
been
so
around. I
sweet,
I love I
gentle giants.
love draft
Yeah.
horses. They are gentle
Yep.
giants. I love
Yeah.
a great big horse. I mostly have quarter horses though, but
Nice.
that's all
Yeah.
I have right now. But I would have a big Frisian, and the bigger the horse, the better, because
Nice.
they are
They
they
are.
we horse people know that
Yep.
the don't get your kid a pony. Okay, they're mean.
Yeah.
Get your kid, get your kid a
Back.
20-year-old quarter horse gelding. You'll be fine.
I always tell people the dynamite comes in the small packages.
Uh-huh.
Us big people. I am 6'1". I am, I said us big giants were hard to anger, but when we do run, but we're hard to anger. Now,
Right?
little
You don't have to
people,
prove anything, right?
no, little people are meaner than hell. You've
I
got to
know, right?
watch little people. Yeah,
I'm 5'3". I'm
there
terrible.
you
Okay.
go.
See?
There
Yeah.
you go.
Yeah.
No,
Holly's mother is shorter, and yes, it fits.
And she's 90 and meaner than hell. And so,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Yes.
exactly right. And it goes the same with the animal world.
Yep.
Chihuahuas,
So
they're
so
something else.
So, House of Night, people, I do apologize for not
Yes.
having horses in the first book or the first movie, but please know that there will be horses in the
Great.
future movie,
Great.
because I am involved. And Molly, the producer, is like, yes, yes, I know we have to have horses in the next movie. I'm like,
Great.
did you forget? She's like, I don't know how I could forget, because you remind me all the time. So,
Well, that's a great segue because I was going to ask you, what would be your message to the House of Night group out there? Because like on Facebook, the one I've been in forever has like over 8,000 people in it just there now. So,
mhm.
what's your message to the House of Night people? When do we got timelines when we could expect to see a trailer for the movie, or do we have any timeline set, or what's your message?
Well, right now we are. Well, the biggest part of my message is that they don't need to worry about anything. That I'm involved. I'm taking care of it. And if that ever changes, I will be so vocal about it that they will all know. They will all know. But I don't foresee that changing at all. Um, so they can sit back, take a breath, and just think, "Oh, yay! I'm going to be entertained, and it is going to always have the heart of the House of Night in it, because the author is the screenwriter, is involved in everything." Um, we are right now, we're casting. And actually, I'll be talking to the producer here in just a little while, and get a big update on all sorts of things. I know that we sent out a proposal to an actress for Neferet, and I cannot mention actors or actresses'
Oh
names
yeah.
right now.
Hmm.
We do
Right.
have Zoe and we do have Grandma Redbird, and I am
Ooh.
very, 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 very pleased, very
Nice.
happy. Grandma Redbird is, and I can't say any names, but Grandma
Ooh.
Redbird is she is the exact actress I wanted, and she was who I thought the entire time I was writing every book in the series. She's who I had in my head,
Oh,
and
that's incredible.
so
Yeah.
she's going to be absolutely perfect. The actress for Zoe is adorable, and she's going to be great too. Um, so so we're casting right now, and there aren't
Hmm.
any for young actresses out there. There aren't any. We're not doing open call right now. That means that you have to have an agent, and the agent has to submit you to our casting director. Um, but we're doing that right now, and so it's difficult to do a timeline until the cast is put together, because you also have to, especially like the biggest names. The biggest names are Grandma Redbird and Neferet. um,
Yeah.
we have to make sure that we're working with their timelines too, because of course they're doing
Hmm.
not
Right.
just doing the house tonight, they're doing other things as well. um,
Right.
we are I hope, and the producer hopes that we'll be filming this summer. That's looks like
Wow.
everything looks like it's going to be okay to film this summer.
Hmm.
So
Great.
and I don't know, they want to be very close to the chest with their announcements, and I
Hmm.
have to make sure that I am paying attention to what our awesome publicist is allowing me to say, and not
Right.
allowing me to say.
Hmm.
Lisa Perkins,
Mm-hmm.
she's worked on Hunger Games and Twilight, so she really knows what she's doing,
Nice.
and
Nice.
so I'm listening to her very closely. Because the studios want to. I could tell you a bunch of stuff right now, and then I'd get in lots of trouble. And then they'd be
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
crap, why did we let this author know everything?
Right.
Um,
Hmm.
Right.
so I'm going to
Yeah,
be
we know
real
where that
careful
goes.
about that.
Hmm.
But
Right.
follow me on Facebook, follow me on TikTok, follow Kristen and me on Insta. We,
Yep.
we will be releasing things when they let us release them.
Hmm.
And everything's going really well with it, though. You guys, I love the script. I love the script. I love the actors that we're attaching. Our director is amazing. She's fantastic. She is modernizing House of Night with color and with, we were talking about costumes last night, and costume
Oh,
design, and she was giving me all these. Okay, quickly. In the books, I have kind of a school uniform, right? I mean, they can do
right.
stuff with
Right.
it, but it's a school uniform.
Right.
And then each year has their insignia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so she's update. It is going to be a vampire fashion show. It's going to be so freaking cool.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
They, instead of like uniforms, they're going to be able to wear whatever they want. And remember, it's a matriarch, so the young
Nice.
women can wear literally anything they want to wear and not worry about being accosted by any of the
Of
male
the men. Right.
fledglings.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
because
Hmm.
they're
Because they
respected.
know better.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So
Yeah.
they're free to be as cool looking as they want to be. What we're adding is each year we'll have a cloak, and the cloak will be like done in velvet with, and each year's a different color. And then the insignias will be like the brooches holding the cloaks on,
Oh
attaching the
yeah.
cloaks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're going to be just
Hmm.
beautiful. And like the outside of the house tonight will look like a big Gothic, like, castle. The inside,
Ooh.
Rain is taking these stained glass panels, and the lighting is all going to come through stained glass panels. There won't be any big,
Nice.
thick, like black velvet curtains. Instead, we just change the lighting from day to night, and the stained glass windows filter it so that the vampires can have light, like without like the sunlight killing them and stuff.
Right.
But
Right.
sunlight doesn't kill my regular vampires anyway. It's
Right.
the red vampire stuff, and that comes in later. But
Yes.
no, it's gonna look really, really cool. And she already showed me her set design for the dining hall, and it's 2 levels with a giant tree in the middle of it. It's so awesome. It's so nice
Nice.
looking.
Oh,
Yep.
cool. Yeah.
That's what I
It's
told
very
Stephen.
cool.
I could still remember in my head because your writing is so descriptive of expanding, like, our mind's eye, that I could still remember. I have it in my head what what their dining hall looks like,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
the
I'm saying me
dorms
too,
look
but of
like.
course me
Yeah,
too.
I have it. I have it in my head what it looks like. I have the outside of the House of Night, what it looks like. I
Yeah.
have, the tentacle. I was trying to explain that. I don't know what words you could actually use, but it was like the black that goes along the bottom, like Neferet. When she gets, really
Oh,
evil,
her
and
the
the black
those
underneath.
tentacle things. What the hell?
Yes. Oh, it's
Yes.
awful. And I was trying to explain it to Steven. I'm like, it's the creepiest
They're
shit
disgusting.
because
Yeah.
it's disgusting. And I'm like, I said I could see it. I could see it in my head. I could see them creeping along her, and I could still remember that and see it. So your writing is so descriptive that it leaves the lasting impression. And it
Thank you.
does,
I
yeah,
enjoy description a lot. I
I love it.
like making it so that you guys feel like you're there. So yeah.
And you achieved.
Which actually I have to go do because I have got to talk to the producer, and then I've got
Yes.
to go back and work on this
Yes,
copybook. That is
you
due the
do.
1st of May. So
Well,
Well, we will be chatting soon,
yes.
and we
Thank
we
you.
yes.
will have a workshop upcoming at
Yes.
Imaginarium, which,
Yep.
guys, I will announce very soon. Will be with Miss Sedona, and she was
Mhm.
in here earlier. She popped in, and I got to tell her hello. But yeah, she had to run. But yeah, we definitely need to have you two back after Imaginarium when you can tell us more about what's
Mhm.
been
Yes.
going on, and you'll be able to elaborate even more into, what's coming on with the movie.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Hey,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for joining us tonight. Yeah, you
it's been
taking your
great.
time and
Thank you
visiting with
guys.
us. And have a great night. And looking forward to seeing you in July.
Awesome. Me too. Thank you guys. I will see you
Take care.
there.
All righty.
Thank you,
Bye bye.
PC. Talk to you
Bye guys.
soon. Bye. Good night.
Good night.
All right, listeners out there. Join us next Wednesday, same place, same time, 9 p.m. Eastern. Another great guest, another great chat. Good night, and for the rest of the week, be creative.